Press conference. Pleased to welcome for this one with you here Fabrice Bregier, our President and CEO, and John Lee, our Chief Operating Officer, Customers. And without any further ado, Fabrice, I pass over to you to reveal the latest news of the show.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I'm very pleased that you stay till Thursday. You must be as exhausted as we are after a very busy air show. Actually, you almost know the detailed numbers, but this is the best Farnborough Air Show in Airbus history. And this is the third, I think, biggest if we include Paris Air Show. So it's a very successful one, and I'm personally very happy. Not just because I'm the Airbus CEO, but because we have also a very strong industrial footprint, as you know, here in the UK. We talk a lot about orders, but there are 100,000 people working directly for Airbus in the UK, more than 10,000 in our own plants and design centers. And I think that for a group like Airbus, we supported here. This is very good that we could make it happen, that we could launch the A330neo with, I think, 6 customers so far, after only 2 weeks of intense marketing. And we could achieve a record order or commitments of sorry, it's not a round number, 496 aircraft. 496 aircraft for a total value of $75 billion. So this is the headline, and I think that it's time for me now to hand over to John and listen to more details about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrice. Just a very quick wrap up, and then we will open it to questions here. Remember, we started off the air show with an announcement by IAG, the British Airways Group, for 20 aircraft valued at $2.2 billion US. Then at 10 o'clock in the morning, we announced the launch, completely approved by our board, the launch of the A330neo. Remember, for some of you who were looking for an authorization to offer, it is not an authorization to offer. It is a full industrial launch of the program with an airplane that has 14% more fuel efficiency per seat, 400 miles more range, more revenue potential with 6 to 10 additional seats, full cockpit commonality with the A330 family, of which there are over 1,300 sold and about 1,100 flying. Perfect combination with the 350XWB. Remember, we have common type rating with that. Then we have the 787. We talked about positioning the aircraft. We have the same fuel burn, cash operating cost per trip per seat as they do. I might argue even a couple percent better in our favor, but substantially lower, about 25% lower capital costs. And that's really the game-changing part of this airplane program, which is why one of the oldest and most sophisticated leasing companies in the world was the first to place an order for it. ALC, Steve Hazy, became a launch customer with an order for 25, a value of about $7 billion on that. Steve also took the opportunity to sign up for 60 additional single-aisle aircraft, all A321s, valued at about $7 billion as well. Then AerCap reordered the A320neo for 50 additional orders for $5 billion. SMBC, that was the old Royal Bank of Scotland, it was purchased by the Sumitomo Mitsubishi Bank Corp out of Japan, and placed the largest single order for aircraft ever placed by a leasing company, 115 A320 aircraft, and 5 CEOs, by the way. 3,000th A320neo was crossed at that point. Remember, we've started this program to end of 2010. We're going to have our first flight somewhere around September, and we have crossed 3,000 firm orders, not options, not reconfirmables, not commitments, 3,000 firm orders in our backlog. Then CIT stepped up and decided they too needed to have the A330neo. They placed an order for 15 and also took the opportunity to buy 5 more 321s. Avalon then became another launch customer for the A330neo with 15 aircraft valued at $4 billion. Bank of China reordered the A320, 36 A320ceos, 7 A320neos, a little over $4 billion there. And of course, Tony Fernandez decided to kiss everybody at his press conference and took the opportunity to also buy 50 A330neos, valued at $13.8 billion. Air Mauritius was here just yesterday to sign up for 4 A350-900s and then lease 2 from AerCap as well. Yesterday afternoon, we signed a deal, so it was announced this morning, with Hong Kong Aircraft Leasing, part of the Hainan Group, for 70 firmly ordered aircraft. That's not a commitment, that's not an LOI, that's a full purchase agreement valued at $7.7 billion US. And just a few minutes ago, just a few minutes ago, we reached agreement with Transaero, second largest airline in Russia, one of Europe's leading airlines, 20 A330neo aircraft. That is a commitment valued at $5.3 billion US. And of course, I hate to use, as you all know, undisclosed customers, but there is an Asian airline. We did sign the MOU with them. We thought we were going to get a chance to announce their name. They had second thoughts about it. They needed to check with a few more people, I think arranging some financing as well. But they said they will announce it shortly themselves. It's 4 A350-800 neos with an Asian customer. So put all that together, and what do you get? You get 496 aircraft valued at $75 billion. What's very interesting as you look at that chart is the balance on the single aisle. Strong CO presence, even though we're essentially running out of CO delivery slots. Very, very strong neos. A big shift towards the A321. And a real story here, 121 commitments for the A330neo in 4 days. We think that's really a record, and it ought to be a record for any air show. Now let's open it to questions.
Okay, now we are ready to take your questions.
You should actually back it up so you can see the numbers up there on the screen.
Yeah. Can we please have the chart with the numbers again?
Air Transport Observer.
Okay. Can we please have the charts with the numbers? This one, please, thanks.
Air Transport Observer magazine. Can you disclose the schedule for Transaero delivery, the delivery schedule?
It starts in 2019 and takes about 4 years for deliveries. There is also, as you can see, a mix of 8 A330ceos and 12 A330neos. And I was referring to the neo.
Okay, next question to Tim.
Could you just clarify that last undisclosed Asian order? I think you said
I tell you who it is?
If you wouldn't mind. If you just give us the first letter.
I already gave you Asian.
I think you may have said A350-800. It's not often you get to can a program and relaunch it in the same week.
Yeah, it obviously was a typo, and John has
may
said
there have,
yeah.
Is it A350-900?
A330.
Oh, A330. Oh, so there's, the Asian thing is an A330 order.
A330-800. A330-800.
Got it. Okay, thank you. You mentioned You mentioned 25% lower capital costs. I realise that list prices are in a completely different realm from the one that you live in, John, but why is the list price of the A330-900 more than the 787-9 and only 5% less than the 787-10? And then finally, could you tell me what production rate you expect to produce A330s at beyond, say, 2016? Thank you.
I leave production rates to Fabrice. You don't have an apples-to-apples comparison in catalog prices. Boeing seems to have a stripped-down airplane in their catalog price, and we have a pretty fully loaded airplane in our catalog price.
Next question goes to Tim Robinson. Stop.
Production, you know that we have a capacity to produce 10 A330 a month. It's of course too early to tell you how many A330neos we will produce and when, but with these first successful 4 days, I believe that we can target, after the ramp-up, a production very close to this 10 a month.
Did you tell the analysts yesterday that your shares went down because apparently analysts were told yesterday that the rate would probably come below 10? Is that correct?
No, I think we got the question last Monday. We have still to get some customers on board on the 330CO. We assess about 200, I think. About 200 additional orders will be necessary, and we will see. The point is that as we are able to develop the 330neo in only 36 months, the transition for us is much shorter than for others. So I didn't say I would stay at 10, but I didn't say I would go lower. It will depend on the next campaigns in the coming months and years.
Now next question to Tim Robinson.
Hi there, Tim Robinson. Question to Fabrice. Your plan is to get the A330neo faster to market than the A320neo. And shave time off there. So hypothetically speaking, would you be able to beat that with an A380 Neo?
No, it's off the agenda now. But if we can do that with the 330 Neo, it's of course that we are drawing the lessons from the 320 Neo, but it's also because we have an engine which is largely developed. And we just manage, Rolls-Royce manages, and very well, to adapt it to the 330neo. So we cannot take for granted that any re-engineering would take only 36 months. Then, as regards the 380neo, the priority for us is to continue to market and sell the current A380, especially focusing more on cabin upgrade, higher density, more diversity regarding the yields on this aircraft. We have now many successful examples, not limited to Emirates, and this is our first priority today. So we have no plan to re-engine the 380, at least short term. This is.
Next question in the room. Please, over there.
Hi, Tristan Lorraine, GCAQE. John, you mentioned the Boeing 787, which obviously being bleed-free addresses the contaminated air issue. Of your 496 aircraft there, will any of them be bleed-free?
No, absolutely not. We don't think that's the right way to go at all. If you have a bleed system on the airplane, we think it is a proven system. The only minor point had been some of the pneumatics involved occasionally gave people some trouble in maintenance costs. We were able on the 380 to show that you can have a bleed system with electronic control of the bleed. That's exactly what we're doing on this aircraft as well. And you don't have any problem with contaminated air. That's absurd.
The air, by the way, is exchanged every 3 minutes on board our aircraft. Robert Wall.
Yeah, hi, it's my usual slot availability question. Are you now fully overbooked across the single aisles, and what's your slot availability on the single aisle Neo? Sorry.
The single aisle Neo, it's difficult to get slots even in 2020, 2021. We of course have to study what we're going to do about that.
You're sold out on
COs are pretty much sold out. The point, as you well know, we're overbooking in that category, and you then have to make judgments about some of the orders that you have, whether it's worth the risk to overbook against a position. You certainly don't want two customers showing up on the same day for one airplane. So.
Next question in the room. Stefan Weyer, DPA.
Just a question concerning your order book. How can you tell us the order figures since January, gross and net, after the show? Because you were much behind. Boeing emphasizes this, that they have more orders since January. How is it now? Where do you stand?
We should be slightly above 50% right now, but we don't publish numbers every week. We publish them every month, so we will publish our official numbers at the end of July. And you can do the math. But I was looking at it just before the press conference. It was 52% on units.
52% on units. Mm-hmm. Next question to...
Well, again, this is not our official order position. Our official order position comes out at the end of the month.
Next question to FT, Andrew Parker.
Two questions, please. One, just following up on Tim. Can you just clarify, are you looking to maintain rate on 330 CEO up to transition into 330 Neo? In other words, maintain rate 10 all the way through, or is that not a realistic prospect given you've got currently production worth about 2 years, I think? And then secondly, your stock price is down, I think, about 10% this month. It's down year to date. Investors seem concerned that despite what we're seeing this week, the order cycle is turning. You've got a lot of cancellations. There's overcapacity issues on the transatlantic, in Asia, etc. Where do you see the order cycle? Is it peaking? You know, but for 330 Neo, would we have had a much lower key show this week? Thank you.
On the 330, again, the transition is pretty short. And my priority is, of course, to sell as many 330s as possible, as usual, with or without the 330 Neo. The point is that the 330 Neo gives us long-term visibility, and that we believe that we can have a high production rate after 2018, 17, thanks to this 330 Neo. Then we will see. What we try to do when we modify one type of aircraft is to have a smooth transition. And so I can guarantee that we will have a smooth transition. Back to your second point, I'm not probably the best place to comment on evolutions of a share price. But the least we can say is that with 500 aircraft ordered or committed by customers, we cannot say that the market is weaker. This is not serious. This is even a joke. We have so many leasing companies who are very robust customers who have committed to our aircraft that it is just the contrary. I believe, but John, of course, can comment on that, that in some parts of the world there is a little bit more maturity in a way that we have airlines who are big winners, and we have new airlines and some low-cost carriers who are less successful than they expected, and so they need less aircraft. And this is our job. This is the expertise of my teams, of John's teams, to know how to manage that through overbooking or any other element. As an example, we had Bank of China Aviation who were short of A320 CEOs. And we had to look at what could be done. And our first answer was, it's impossible. But we had a couple of Asia-Pacific customers who were ready to take a little bit less of them. And this is pure backlog management.
Yeah, the only thing, Andrew, I'd add to that is it seems almost implicit when you say the order cycle almost connects to the production cycle. Our job is to make sure that it doesn't, that the production can stay flat even if the order cycle goes up and down. We've done that successfully for about the last 10 years, and we intend to continue doing that, and that's, as Fabrice says, the order book management.
Next question in the room. Max Kingsley Jones.
John, when we spoke to Steve Harsey on Monday, he talked about the desire for engine selection, but obviously that wasn't able to be achieved on the 330neo. So he said that, I forget the exact words, but that Airbus and Rolls managed to come to an arrangement which benefits the customer, obviously referring to the negotiating power and mitigating that lack of competition between engine makers to bring the price down. Can you explain a bit more about what he meant by that?
Yes, we have built into the price, the flyaway price of the airplane, a very good economic package from Rolls-Royce on the engine. One of the advantages, and the only real advantage of two engines, is the fact that you can have an engine competition and the customer can get a good price. Well, we've taken the liberty of negotiating that in advance with Rolls, so all the customers get a good price. He was also delighted to see that Rolls is promoting that the maintenance cost on their new 7000 will be the same as the maintenance cost on today's CO, the 700, and that's quite an achievement as well. So he's now happy with the solution.
Next question in the room, to Andrea Rossman, Bloomberg.
Yeah, I have two questions. One, you mentioned that you may have to look at production rates on the single aisles, given that you've got more than 3,000 neo orders out there. Can you just detail exactly what your plans are now and where you might look to increase? I think you said you would go up to as many 46, is that right? But okay, and then secondly, on the A380, you've said one of the things you need to do is get customers to begin looking at a higher capacity configuration. How much success are you having now in persuading customers and new customers to consider going above 550 seats?
I take the first one. Step by step, Andrea. We had the first challenge on the single aisle, which was to have a smooth transition between CO and NEO. And we achieved it at rate 42. And then we decided that we could achieve it at rate 46. And this is the current plan. This transition will be over in 2018. So it means that after that, depending on market conditions, we'll have extra potential to go higher. Will we go higher? Probably yes. To which level? When? These are still questions which are ahead of us, and we have plenty of time to bring answers.
Next question to Tim Robinson.
Let me just answer the thing about the interiors for Andrea. Yes, we are talking to several airlines about the interiors. They do like the fact that you can get more seats in. One of the problems we have with existing customers is that it's a very long lead time item, and changing the interior is rather complex, and it can cost a bit of money. I've had more than a couple say, I wish I had done this originally. So I think you'll see, with a minimum of 18 inches, not going below that, more seats in economy class on 380s going forward.
Next question to Tim Robinson.
May have missed something here. What's happened to the A330 regional? Is it now the A330 regional neo or the A330 neo regional?
No. The A330 regional is a very good airplane at 199 tons of takeoff weight, lower thrust, designed to fly a couple thousand miles, several hours of flying in crowded airspace like domestic China, perhaps domestic India. When you look at very short stage lengths like that, the new engines, much like the Trent 7000, R350 engine, Boeing 787 engines, which are designed for 12-hour, 14-hour flights, they really don't give you that much if you're going to fly for 2 hours, because a large portion of your flight is taxi out, climb, a very small portion en route, and then descend.
And you have even extra weight.
Yeah, and then you have, they're about 5 tons heavier, by the way, for the new generation of engines. So you can optimize a wide body very, very nicely around the original 330. So we're not planning on a 330 regional neo. The 330 is optimized the way it is today for the regional.
Any other questions in the room? Tim from Reuters.
Thank you. Could I just follow up on that? You also talked at one point about an A350 or a paper down A350. Are you still looking at that, or has that been substituted by the A330neo? And also, what is the status of the Hong Kong A380 order, please?
Okay, let's look at the first part. The 350-900R is in our price catalog. We've actually had a few people buy it. What you do, and I don't want to get too esoteric for the entire group, but if you look at a range payload diagram of the 787-10, the Boeing argument was, well, it doesn't have the range of a 900, but who really needs all of that? So we have a regional, which is a D-rated on thrust and D-rated on weight version of the airplane that has a range payload diagram that sits right on top of the 787-10. The only difference is if you change your mind in 5 years, you can expand mine back out, and you can't expand theirs back out. So yes, you can buy that right now. I believe it's in the order book, isn't it? Where are we on that?
I believe so too. So it is in the order book. We have to check at the table.
Well, you'll have to go talk to them.
Andrew Parker, FT.
Yeah. Given what you just said about A380neo, is it at all realistic for Tim Clark to get a 380neo by 2020? That's the delivery year that he would like. And then secondly, can you just clarify the wide-body orders in China that were held up by the dispute over the EU emissions trading scheme? Have you been able to conclude all those orders now that issue appears to have been resolved in a manner that you would have hoped for? Thank you.
Well, I think it's very good that Tim Clark confirms he would be ready to be a launch customer of re-engine A380. Will it take place one day? Again, yes. Will it be for 2020? I don't think so, because we have still many things to do with the current A380. And by the way, the A380 per seat is and will remain the most competitive in the current version, as long as we increase the number of seats within the cabin. Then, regarding the ETS, yes, we are pleased with the outcome. I think that this is a balanced one, which supports green aviation, but also acknowledges that the decisions have to be taken at the international level, meaning at ICAO level, because this is the way our business is regulated. Could have we avoided this skirmish with the rest of the world? Probably yes, and it's a good lesson for everybody that Europe can have very good ideas, but they have also to abide by the international rules, and this is the case now.
Can I just clarify, John, you'll probably be most familiar, the orders that were held up by this issue, in other words, the Chinese were not signing.
You saw that about a year ago.
This is behind us, and the last 27, if I remember well, A330s have been endorsed by the Chinese authorities last March.
And are now in our order book.
Yeah.
Yes,
John Ostro, Wall Street Journal, has the next question.
Gentlemen, question about your ramp up on A350. What does that curve look like right now, and where is your supply chain as far as achieving the rates? You've spoken of 13 a month for capitalization, but what is the process of getting from here to a stable rate that you'd like to see? And,
no, I think this is for Fabrice.
In a second part of that question, also, as far as the changes you're making to the A350-1000 on the engine and the wing, what capability have you designed in to potentially allow for an additional stretch if you see fit?
Well, 350, big program, big challenges every day. The point is that we are getting closer to the certification. We could enjoy the flight demos during this air show. We will be ready for delivery of the first aircraft by the end of this year. And we are actively preparing the ramp-up of production. Is it easy? No. Can we manage it? I believe so. However, we always took a cautious line on the A350 because in the past, in Airbus, at Boeing, these new big programs came into some difficult turbulences. So we want to avoid it. We have not drifted away for the last 2 years. It doesn't mean everything is perfect, and we are working very hard to secure the 350 ramp-up, meaning achieving rate 10 by the end of 2018.
We have 2 more questions.
And we are very pleased with the 900 and the Dash 1000. And as I explained, the Dash 1000 delivers the performance of the 777-300ER, both in number of seats and in range. John would argue that we do better.
Yeah.
But I am generous. And 25% less fuel burn. This is what we deliver with the Dash 1000. And we are very pleased to have an aircraft capable of replacing the 300ER and delivering this advantage to our customers. So we are not just chasing what the others do, and if they do that, it's because modification of a heavy 777 would not be competitive head-to-head against a 350-1000.
Capability for a stretch?
Well, let me just answer. I'm not sure that the world is looking for 35 more seats. I can see why Boeing, the 777X, had to put 35 more seats in. They had a big, heavy airplane, and they needed to lower the seat mile cost. If you need more seats, we have a bigger airplane. We have a 380. The fact that my competitor, when I'm in a sales campaign, says you can get 35 more seats, the 777-300 seem to be in the sweet spot in the market, and we're sitting right on top of them in capacity. And if you look at the sales for the 777X, 35 more seats, it's 35 tons heavier. There are a couple big carriers out of the Middle East that are almost their entire order book. I'm not sure that's a market we need to chase after.
Next question.
Bernie Baldwin from Low Fare and Regional Airlines, John. You just mentioned sweet spots. My question is, with the launch of the 200-seat 737 MAX 8, Boeing don't seem to think that there is as much a trend towards the higher end of the single aisle as they think you've been talking about, Airbus, with regards to the A321neo. Now we can see the numbers behind you there that you're still pulling in triple figures at shows like this on the 321neo. Is it a general? Would you say there is a general trend, or could it be horses for courses? With the different, whoever is going towards a Boeing tends to think that that's the sweet spot for them. And Airbus, the wonderful 240 seats that you've got into the Neo now, that people are thinking differently as they speak to different suppliers.
I'm very happy with the 189 seats in A320 and 240 seats in an A321. I noticed that about 50% of our orders in single aisle are moving towards the 321. I think that says something about the size of the market, and I look very skeptically, as most airlines do, on Boeing's claimed they can put 200 seats in a 737-800.
Without toilets, no?
I think it's Michael O'Leary's thing where you all stand in the back and and you so hold on. But
so next question and last question goes to Wall Street Journal.
Hi, John. I just wanted to draw on the Middle East point again. Do you see an opportunity for the A330neo in the Middle East, for particularly Etihad with its buying strategy of group buying and using some of those aircraft for its equity partners?
I certainly see a home for the 330neo in the Middle East, and I would expect to have at least one Middle East order before the end of the year.
Can you expand on how much that might be?
No, you'll have to wait and see.
We just have the half final. The World Cup is not won yet. Good. With these words, I close the press conference. Thank you for being here with us. Our next opportunities to meet again are at the A320neo first flight and at the A350 entry into service by end of this year. So hopefully see you soon again. We wish you an exciting show and a good summer break.